everybody. It's your girl, April Marie, and welcome to Handle Her With Care podcast, where we are gracefully unfiltered. I am so excited to be here with you today, as usual. You guys are my heart, and I hope that you feel that because that's why I'm here for you. Thank you so much to my creative space, 661 Creator Space. You guys make my podcast dreams come true. Everything that you do here for me in support of this podcast means everything to me, and I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you again to my sponsors, myhairhoney.com. If you don't have a bottle, get you a bottle because let me tell you, it's everything. It smells good. It feels good. You can even take it and rub the excess on your elbows because it's 100% organic. It's natural. This is the bottle. It's so pretty. Okay. And like I always say, it sits right next to my Chanel and it goes right beautiful on my countertops. Like it's not ugly and it smells good. And that's not usual for oils and hair oils, right? Like a lot of times they stink. So this one is not that.
Yeah.
So definitely visit myhairhoney.com. So hi.
Hey.
I wanted to take a moment and welcome our guest. You are not new to the podcast.
No, I am not.
This is Dr. Shawntres Parks, and she is here with us today again. And I'm so thankful that you took the time out to come and join us and share some more enlightening facts about being a woman and being beautiful and sharing space with other people, you know, and how we do that. So today, our topic is sexual identity development in Black women raised in conservative Christian contexts.
I love that sounds like the title of a research paper.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I am a researcher.
You
so that
are.
That is right up my alley. And,
okay.
And I'm going to try and remove a little bit of the academia.
Okay.
From that.
Okay.
So what I would love to have conversation about is the way that purity culture in Christianity and other religious contexts impacts the sexual identities of Black women who are raised in those contexts. Yeah.
Sounds like this topic was written for me.
And me.
and so many.
Millions of
others. First of all, sounds like it's going to get juicy.
Yeah.
And I'm here for that.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good juicy topic.
Yes.
I love a good girl moment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so let's go.
Yeah.
So, all right. So talk to me about this. What is this?
Okay. So when I think about purity culture, I think about the very heavy abstinence movement that I grew up in, right? And they were giving out purity rings in churches.
I did that.
Right?
I did the purity ceremony. Oh, my God.
You are a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I had a purity ring.
Yes. And it was all about this idea that my responsibility as a Christian woman, right, is to save myself, right, is the language until marriage. And there, at least for many of us, were not productive conversations around sexuality, sexual desire, pleasure, period, was not talked about because purity was holy and pleasure was wicked and sinful.
Oof.
And any place in your life that you experience excessive pleasure, because that's a thing.
That's a thing.
You are basically buying your like first class, do not pass go, do not collect $100 ticket to hell.
Hell.
Right? Yes, right? Heavy on the hell.
Heavy on the hell.
And so I remember so many times, right? You see a sister walk into church and maybe she's wearing a skirt that's above the knee.
Oh, like this one.
Right? Okay. Above the knee. There's a little visible thigh. Look at her. And some loving mother would go give her a lap scarf.
A lap scarf.
Right?
Yes. What is it? Loving?
Loving.
Okay.
Lovingly judgmental, right? Would give her the lap scarf.
Yes.
And hearing, if there was a girl who's in a group of guys talking, comments like, oh, look at that fast-tailed girl over there talking to those boys. No mention of the boys and their interaction with the young lady.
Yes.
And no stories are written about who they are or who they should be based on that.
Right.
But instantly stories are written about who she is and who she will be based on those
on that interaction.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That you are damaged goods if you have sex before marriage.
Right.
Right? No man will want you.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. What are you, living in my house, in my head?
And that magically, without ever having talked about it or entertained the idea of healthy sexual development,
right,
you will become a porn star on your wedding night, right? You'll know exactly what to do, exactly how to do it. You'll know exactly what works for you. You'll orgasm in 3.5 seconds so he doesn't have to work too hard. And give your husband maximum pleasure.
Right.
And somehow you'll both enjoy that. And that will set the stage for a healthy and thriving sexual relationship blessed by God because you waited.
Because you waited.
Because you waited.
Dang.
All of that responsibility.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Because it's not real.
It is absolutely not real.
It's not real.
And I mean, I definitely lived it, right? As I'm hearing you say you did as well. And I remember as a young therapist working with couples, having these Christian couples come in and like, we're not having sex, or sex is painful.
Right.
Sex doesn't ever feel good to me.
Right. Right.
And very like frustrated husbands, like how come she doesn't know what's going on or what she should be doing? I don't understand why she can't have an orgasm. That doesn't make any sense. She doesn't know what she likes. She doesn't know what she wants.
Right. But you're not allowed to know what you like.
Absolutely not allowed to know what you like or explore that in any way outside of the context of marriage.
Right.
And so I even think about culturally, right, when you hear women talk about, or even men talk about, right?
Mad.
I'm in my hoe phase, right?
Right.
Just because you're dating people or maybe have multiple sexual partners, that even the language, although it's, been maybe reclaimed or repurposed.
Right. Repurposed.
Is
for
still like I'm taking this negative concept and applying it to developmentally healthy behavior. And so there's a lot of baggage there.
Tons.
And as it relates to the responsible daughter framework that we talked about the last time I was here,
right,
this plays heavy in the responsible daughter who performs so much of her sexual relationships that she really struggles to get any need met for sexual pleasure with a partner, and oftentimes even with herself, to fully experience it without shame.
Right, because shame is huge.
Yes, it is.
Shame is huge.
Yeah.
I remember doing the purity ceremony at my church. It was a whole ceremony, it's like a wedding.
Yeah.
And having to wear this white, and parents bought these rings, and dad put these rings on us, and he was like, "Yeah, you can save yourself for marriage." And I always knew that I was not doing that. And I felt horrible because I accepted this ring and this purity, whatever, and signed up for this chastity thing. And then when I didn't do it, right, like I knew I wasn't going to do it, but then when I didn't do it, I still felt like I had, I guess, broken a vow that I made to God. And I had a lot of crazy guilt, but it didn't really show up as guilt, I think, until I got married. And then I was kind of like turned off by sex, or like weirded out by certain touch and things. And I didn't understand why. But I think it all played this weird role in, like accepting the pleasurable experiences and being open to them and excited by them. Yeah. And then it didn't help that who I married was a minister, pastor. And so then he was like, at some point when I was still hypersex, because I've always been hypersexual, always liked it. Okay. Yes. But he was like, "I just want you to like come, like I do want to have sex with you, but like I feel like you're always wanting it. It's just not attractive to always be so sexual." And I was like, isn't this the space for that?
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was the time for me to be that girl.
Yeah.
So then it made me very closed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to kind of write a story that there's something wrong with me that I want sex as much as I do, especially because I'm in the context of marriage now where it's supposed to be like biblically acceptable. And now my partner is saying that it's too much.
Right.
And without analyzing your marriage.
Sure. No problem.
I'm looking at the internalized scripts around like when I police someone's desire for sex, right?
Right.
That it's either too much or too little.
Right.
Is problematic.
Very much so.
That ultimately there's a spectrum.
Yes.
And on that spectrum, there are some people who have like high spontaneous desire. Right? Where I just have a desire for sex and it comes out of nowhere. I don't need a whole lot of stimulation.
Right.
Or like there are very few buttons you need to push to activate this in me, right?
Yes.
And some people who are more on the responsive end of the spectrum where I actually need certain things like candles or lighting or touch needs to feel a certain way.
Okay.
Or like you can't have just come from the gym. You need to smell very clean.
Okay.
I need to have a clean bedroom and a freshly made bed. Like when you put the right conditions in place, then desire comes up for me. Right. And that we're just designed differently. And the God that I believe in created us all with beautiful diversity.
Yeah.
And so these things only become problematic when we pathologize the difference.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
I mean, when I start to say it's a problem to you that you want sex too much.
Right.
Then we have problems, right? Because I get to write a script about you that there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And I get to be right. Everything is right with me.
Everything's right with me.
Yes.
Yes.
As opposed to, I am comfortable with having sex once or twice a week. You're comfortable with having sex once or twice a day. Cool. Let's talk about that. What do we need to do to create optimal circumstances so that both of us gets as much of what it is that we want in a way that feels aligned for both of us? And spoiler alert, people are not having as much sex as you think they're having. Like on average, the average couple is having sex one time a week, right? Technically less statistically than one time a week.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm not in a couple right now.
Yeah, but
so I'm
and the reality is there are also couples that are having tons of sex every day, and that's fine as long as they're both enthusiastically consenting to it.
Yeah, saying yes with their whole body.
Saying yes with their whole bodies. And if we can, in any relationship that we're in, identify what it is that we need, give our partner space to identify what it is that they need, and have vulnerable and open communication about that, then we can cultivate the relationship that works well for both of us. And that may be the integration of self-pleasure with partnered pleasure. If I have a desire to have more sex than my partner can enthusiastically consent to.
And your partner being okay and accepting of.
Yes, and not shaming that.
Right.
Or buying into the myths, right? Which unfortunately some of my brothers do as it relates to women. That if you use that vibrator, then you're not going to be able to have kind of an organic orgasm with me, right? You will always need the support of a sex toy, right?
Right.
It's a myth. It's not true. Or that if you orgasm too much from masturbation, then you're going to become spoiled somehow and expect that you should always have orgasms every time.
Y'all don't think like sex. That, do you? Come on, brothers.
I mean, I wish that I could say these things had not come up in my real live sessions, like in the wild, in real life. These are the things that people are actually believing. Or that something is medically wrong with me if I don't want sex as much as my partner wants it.
Yeah,
like is also a thing that oftentimes the partner with the like lower desire, right, comparatively wants. But the reality is, like, for every woman out there who's comfortable with sex one time a week, there's a man who's also comfortable with sex one time a week.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with you if you don't leave your partner to find that man. Right. It just takes a conversation. Well,
Yes.
some conversations.
Many conversations. Yeah, because this isn't like a one and done thing, because again, the arc of the responsible daughter is I recognize that I'm over functioning and I am leaning more into meeting someone's needs than I am in taking space alongside someone else in the relationship. And so the first thing I need to do is become aware of that. And then once I am aware of that, check in with myself. What is actually values aligned for me? And once I know that, then I'm in the place where I'm having those conversations from that whole body yes perspective to say that whatever it is that we're talking about is coming from a place where, yeah, I really do want this, or I don't want that.
Right.
And that it's not drop it at your feet and run away.
Right.
If you don't like it or if it doesn't resonate with you, let's engage in a little bit of healthy, productive back and forth. Conflict is growth trying to happen.
Conflict is growth trying to happen.
Yes. And so sometimes we run away from conflict in conversations because we think, oh, conflict bad.
Right.
Right. We don't automatically agree. You're not the same human that I am. You don't think and feel exactly as I do.
Right.
This isn't safe.
Right. This isn't safe.
But the reality is we can be safe in many sexual romantic relationships.
Okay.
If we can be open about like what we don't like, what works for us and what doesn't. And many RDs haven't done the work to figure that out outside of their relationships because of the scripts around how bad that is, right, from that conservative Christian or religious perspective.
When Dr. Shawntres says RD, she's meaning responsible daughter.
Yes.
And if you haven't viewed that episode, go back and check it out, because this will give you context into exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
And it's so interesting, I think, because, you know, being raised in the church and then always being told, you know, you want to find a man who's also in church and who loves the Lord. And yes, we do. But what I found is that a lot of our young Christian men, they're not interested in the woman who the church has raised. So the woman who the church has raised has a lap scarf, and she's, you know, fully draped and drizzled in purity. And she is poised, modesty and graceful. And then you see them can't wait to dart out the church doors and head on down to the corner store
and find a freak.
And find a freak nasty.
Freak,
who gonna
nasty,
turn it
nasty
up?
Freak. Yes.
Who gonna turn it up? But so then we have a lot of Christian women or religious women that are benched indefinitely because they don't know what they like. They don't know how to do anything. You're right. They're struggling with even seeing themselves. They don't even look at themselves naked. They feel grossed out and like they're doing something wrong just by being.
You know how many times I've been told that like a vulva is disgusting or nasty by a woman?
By a woman.
By a woman who's never actually held a mirror down to her vulva and seen what it looks like.
Now, do you recommend that?
Highly.
Highly.
Highly. Fall in love with it, please. It is a part of you.
Yeah.
Practice comprehensive self-love. Every part of you is beautiful, if for nothing more than the function that it serves.
Right.
Right? A liver is not super pretty to look at, but damn, am I grateful for
it.
I
love you. Where are you?
Yes.
I love you, liver.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's like, well, you know, my vulva, it drapes a little, right? Or mine is too thick, too full, right? Mine doesn't look like the picture that I was shown in my healthful living class.
Right.
That white, and
thin,
pink,
small.
Yes.
Right.
And so I think there's all this internalized messaging that we have, and it's really internalized self-hatred.
Yes, it is.
And again, back to systemic oppression, because it's always a factor.
It's a factor, right?
We are not taught as Black women that we are beautiful and that our bodies are beautiful.
I know.
We are taught that we are objects of desire.
Yes.
Right? We are taught that we are hypersexualized, right, by others from a very young age. There's research that supports that we are seen as older than our actual chronological age from a very young age.
Right.
And people adultify us.
Yeah.
And that also contributes to why we become responsible daughters and overfunctioning, because we take on way too much responsibility at too young an age.
Right.
And also what that then does sexually is you are looked at as an object of desire and a tool for pleasure, and you can't be self-possessed in your search for pleasure. It can't be about you or what works for you. It is about satisfying like the lust of someone else. That is your value, is what we are taught. And so I'm not going to blame all of this on the church. This didn't start with the church. And as a person who still identifies as Christian, I'm not even saying that I have a problem with this concept in general of abstinence if its values align for you.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm also a person who believes very heavily in free will, which I believe was the first gift that God gave.
Free will, yes.
And free will means that you have the right to self-determination. What does sexuality look like for you? What is the healthiest and most values-aligned version of that for you? If it is masturbating, then masturbate.
Right.
And if it is not, there are many other ways that you can explore seeking pleasure and getting an understanding for what you like and don't like that don't even involve having sex with another person or sexual self-pleasure through masturbation.
Well, what is that?
Right?
What? Like,
right?
I only knew the two. You know what I mean?
Two
honestly,
options.
Two
Two options.
A or B.
Right? A
I
or
didn't
B.
know there was more. My eyebrows are up.
Okay. Let's talk about pleasure.
That. Yes.
Pleasure. Right?
Oh my God. Because that is a sticky word.
Yes.
It sounds
That's
cringy.
Why I'm repeating it. Yeah. Because it's making people uncomfortable.
Pleasure.
It made me uncomfortable for a very long time.
Yeah.
For a very, very long time. And so my own work, right, apart from what I do professionally, my own work in getting comfortable with pleasure involved looking at erotic energy as energy that starts with like 5 senses, right?
Okay.
If you think about the best sexual experiences you've ever had, all of your senses were probably involved.
Yeah.
Right? There were sounds that were pleasurable to you. You were looking at things that were pleasurable to you, right? You were tasting things that were pleasurable to you. You were touching things and being touched in ways that were pleasurable to you.
Right.
And we can explore the use of 5 senses to seek pleasure outside of sex. And we should be. Reasonably. Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
I love coffee. Drinking coffee is very pleasurable to me. It is a ritualistic thing that I do in the mornings. And I play around and turn up and down the volume on my pleasure. Today I'm drinking coffee espresso mixed with a protein shake. It is functional.
Right.
It tastes good.
Right.
But that's volume down because it doesn't give me the same tingles
as
like taking the time in the morning to use my coffee maker that I love so much, my espresso machine, to make a vanilla latte at home. It's just every step is layering smell.
Yeah.
And I'm playing with temperature, right? Holding the warm glass and taste, layers of taste. And
I love
it's a sexy experience.
Is it?
It is a very sexy experience. And I get to have it every morning. And sometimes I'm driving my kids to school and I'm sipping my latte at stoplights or while I'm in traffic. And I'm just, so good.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
I think about the experience when you come out of the shower, right? And you're putting on lotion on your body.
Yeah.
Playing with touch, right? And do I like a firm touch as I'm applying the lotion or oil to my skin?
Yeah.
How does lighter touch feel? Right?
Girl, you about to make me go get in the shower.
I hope so.
And make a latte.
I hope so.
Ooh.
I think about there's every spring, if you live in Southern California, the city of Carlsbad has these flower fields and they're all of these beautiful tulips, of different colors. I love the experience of going and like walking and looking at the flower fields, right? Beautiful. Visually, it's so beautiful and so stimulating.
Yeah.
Mickaleen Thomas, love her art. And she had an exhibit at the Broad in LA called All About Love. And as a Black artist who clearly loves and deeply appreciates the Black female body, looking at the ways that she honored Black women through her art, it was so visually stimulating.
Wow.
And I went there with my husband, right? We're walking through the exhibits, we're looking at and it was a sexy experience.
Yeah.
There was no sex happening.
Right.
But all of my senses were engaged. She has these vignettes. One of them looks like an 80s auntie living room, right? And so it's like the couch with the plastic over the sofa, right? The stereo and the vase is like, it was my childhood. Someone reconstructed my childhood, and it transported my entire body back to, I could hear Luther, right?
Yeah,
I could hear Anita.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, what a pleasurable experience to be transported back. And the way that I'm feeling in my body right now is so amazing.
Pleasurable.
Yes. And this is also, I mean, big connection back to our last episode. We talked about whole body yes, right? This idea of being able to feel fully in your body, whether or not something is in alignment for you or whether it's not. If you don't slow down enough to feel and recognize what is pleasurable for you, how can you discern if something is a yes or not? How many things are we consenting to, thinking, oh, it's good. So that equates right because it's good to do, right? Just because I can do a thing means I should do a thing, which is inherently untrue.
Dang.
I'm on a soapbox right now. I need to.
No, you're not.
I need to step down.
I'm like, I just want to sit Indian style like this.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, so take us back to the pressure of the rubbing the lotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because,
yeah, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have a specific body butter that I love.
Yeah.
And now that I have the time, because I'm not rushing out to go do all of the things, I take the time and I put that on. And sometimes I have to stop myself from feeling guilty because right now I'm just taking the time. I've never even thought about pressure and
speed, intensity.
Intensity of it. I just have taken like the moment to say, I'm going to use this body butter because I love it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to rub it on. And yes, I might be doing it fast, but I'm using that one. So I need to be a little more intentional with the process. Yeah. So that I can feel I have turned off a lot of my senses. Yeah. Because of my RD. Yeah. I'm like, I don't need to feel this. I don't need to. Nope. I'm lotioned up. My skin's not dry. Yeah. So we're fine. I just grabbed whatever I had and threw it on and went on because I had to do, you know.
When you're over functioning, you can't stop to feel too many things because sensory input evokes emotion and thoughts. And I don't have space for those things when I have to be so much for so many people. If I stop, I mean, you think about this for responsible daughters, and I think for many people, when a death happens, when loss happens, when you're grieving. Right. Like, how many of us are actively planning the funeral, cooking food for a repast, comforting people when we've lost a loved one?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I can't stop to feel because the script is that if I stop to feel, I will fall apart and everyone that I am holding will fall apart.
Dang.
And it's harder to deal with that outcome in my mind than it is to deal with the discomfort of sitting with these feelings.
I lived that way for like a long, years, 10 years or more. Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that. I would say, oh, no. I don't cry. I don't cry. Mm-hmm. I don't cry because if I cry, I'll never stop. Who has time for that? Girl, that's literally what I would say out loud. People say, oh, well, didn't you? Oh my gosh, I was just, and I'm like, okay. They say, you didn't cry? And I say, I can't cry, baby. What? Yeah. Cry off that? Yeah. If I start crying, all of the things that I need to be crying about are going to rush to the forefront and I'll never stop. Right. No one has time for that. Yeah. And that was my script. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope you've rewritten that.
I have, yes. Shoot. I had to.
I hope that we've rewritten that
We
script.
have rewritten that.
And what I am very conscious of especially scripts around like emoting, right?
Yeah.
Crying or having rage, right?
Okay.
Or being scared about a thing or being joyful, like, and I don't mean just happy, but that giddy little girl
Yes.
joyful, right? Where I'm
Yeah.
like dancing around
Right.
and being a little silly. These scripts that we write that I don't have time or space or that it's not productive to experience those things directly impact how much pleasure we can experience in a sexual relationship. And think about it, like pleasure is really simple, right? It's like the right application of pressure to the right nerve endings at the right time sends a signal to your brain, right?
You're so
Like
smart. I love you.
so pleasure is
Right.
simple, right?
Yes.
When you think about it scientifically.
Yes.
But when we think about the kind of emotional or spiritual aspects of pleasure, it's the safety to release, right? It's the safety to surrender and to open up. And a lot of times we don't have that with ourselves.
Right.
It is now, this was not always the case, but it is now pleasurable for me to cry because I do it by myself or with my husband.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like it is a purge, right? It's an emotional and a relational reset to be able to feel all of my feelings and release the pressure and the tension in my body, right?
Whew,
And
sounds
so
scary.
sounds like an orgasm, really,
It
if you think
does.
about it,
It
right?
does.
It's the
It
same
does.
same concept.
It does.
It's this build up of pressure and then the release, right? And so even that now I can find joy in, right? Joy in grief and release and overwhelm and stress. All of these things kind of coming together and then the surrender.
The surrender.
Yeah.
It does sound like an orgasm. And I know there are so many women that have never experienced that.
Yes.
But I also, just listening to what you're saying about how you release and you're able to cry, either with yourself or with your husband, I feel like the two would go hand in hand. If you can't release your emotions one way, how can you even feel them over? You know, like your absent feeling.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like. I don't know, but
yeah, it's interesting because I've seen both happen, right? To your point, I've met so many women personally and professionally who have never had an orgasm, right? Or maybe it's been so inconsistent that they have no idea what caused it, maybe the one or two times that it did happen in their entire kind of sexually active phase of life.
Yes.
And also, there's this belief that if I can't be vulnerable or safe with someone, that I can't have an orgasm. And scientifically, that's not necessarily true.
Okay.
Because of a concept called arousal non-concordance.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Go with me for a second. We're going to school.
I'm with you.
So arousal non-concordance is this phenomena that I can experience sexual arousal from a thing that I'm not actually sexually desiring. And so this often happens in sexual assault or molestation.
Okay.
Just because someone is applying touch in a way that activates the nerve endings and sends a signal to your brain, oh, this touch is pleasurable.
Right.
You can become sexually aroused by it, even though there's definitely no enthusiastic consent. This is not a thing that you're wanting to have happen. This is not a thing that is psychologically, emotionally pleasurable to you.
Right.
It's just simply the physical sensation that represents something sexual in your brain that creates arousal for you, even though you don't want it in that moment.
And that's why there's a lot of victims that feel guilty. Okay.
Because then you're writing scripts about who you are because, well, I didn't want this thing to happen, but there was vaginal lubrication there, right? I got wet.
Right.
My nipples got hard, even though I didn't want this person to touch me.
Right.
Right. I experienced an orgasm, even though this was not penetration that I welcomed.
Right.
Right. And so there's all of this like shame script writing about that when scientifically there's a lot of research that supports like, no, this was not you at all. And the reaction that you had doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form that this was right or okay.
Right.
But oftentimes as women, we write the script that those things were the signal that, the man, right? I'm generalizing, but that the man interpreted as, well, that was your yes.
Right.
Even though you said no, right? Or you were stiff and pushing me away and fighting me off.
Right.
All of these other things indicated that, well, clearly you must have wanted it. And I mean, even in court, this happens to certain victim survivors, right?
Yes.
And so when we think about reclamation, right, being able to reclaim pleasure from all of these oppressive systems, whether it be religion or the legal system or patriarchal oppression that seek to suppress women's pleasure, because they know that women who experience pleasure, who can say yes with their whole bodies, can choose to live lives that are aligned, right? We can't be mastered. Right? When we say yes with our whole bodies, when we allow ourselves to experience pleasure, that is radical, that is revolutionary.
It is.
Right? It's freedom.
It is freedom.
In every possible way. And so when I think about, right, these scripts that women write who have not had orgasm, who have not had that release, and it's like, well, I can be kind of vulnerable with my partner. I do feel safe with them, but then I'm still not having an orgasm. Or I'm actually not safe with this person, but I'm still having orgasms, right? You think about like one night stands.
Right.
You're like, I don't even know this person.
Right.
But there's a difference between your whole body saying yes to what's happening and your whole body not saying yes to what's happening.
Yes.
And for a lot of women in their partnered sexual interactions, my whole body is not saying yes because of the scripts that were written for me from childhood about my body, about what we're doing here.
Right.
And whether or not it's truly right for me to be doing what I'm doing, because your marriage doesn't flip a switch in your brain that all of a sudden makes everything that was wrong right.
Right.
No. It's not how it works.
It's not.
Right? Everything that you've learned and integrated for however long before you enter that space is still living in you, is still in your psyche.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And so like the deprogramming that needs to happen there is, for many people, very extensive for them to actually be in that space where they can fully experience pleasure, partnered or solo. And again, for the people who it's not aligned to like practice masturbation, or maybe you're wanting to be abstinent from partnered sex, okay, great, that's fine. There's still so many other places in your life that you can practice integrating pleasure.
Yes.
Right? And I think about, coming full circle back to the lotion, I went on a journey to find the lotion that worked best for me, right?
Yes.
That felt most pleasurable to apply, and the experience of having it in my skin felt good to me.
Right.
It was so generic, right? This is so generic.
Okay.
Right? This blend of lotion and Shea Moisture oil, right?
Okay.
That the combination of those two things, it's like, oh, that feels so nice.
Yeah.
And I tried so many different products to get to the point where I'm like, yes, this is the thing.
Is it.
But I gave myself permission to be wasteful. Arties don't like that.
Right. Right.
I gave myself permission to be wasteful and try things that maybe weren't going to work, right? That I would have to give away or toss.
Yes.
Saying that it's worth it to give myself a pleasurable experience.
It's worth it.
I'm worth it.
Yes.
I am worth experiencing pleasure.
Right. I remember when I had this partner, and we were, it was quick. It was quick. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
we had this time, and it was, I think I had just, well, let's see. I don't even know how old my kid was. I don't even know which kid I had already. It's a blur.
Yes. We talked about the blur years. Yes.
There's a blur. But I had never had, I think I had an orgasm before, but I had never like squirted before. And I remember that first time, Shawntres, I was like, what is this? Because when I tell you it wasn't a little, it was overwhelming response. Right? So I'm saying this because I had been sexually active before that. I mean, I had a kid and everything before that, but it was like this marker that I hit where it was like this turned up time. And every time we had sex, I squirted crazy. It was like, what is this? What? can't even sleep in a bed for 2 days because the whole
Yeah.
thing has to dry. What is
Wow.
this?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, well, what was that?
Yeah.
Because from that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it was that I was really attracted to that person
Yeah.
or what it was that did it for me,
Yeah.
but that threw me over the marker. I was like,
Yeah.
dang. And so I think ever since then, I've always wondered in the back of my head,
Yeah.
what was that? And
Yeah.
how, because they were like, this must be what you do. And I was like, I've never done this before. I don't even know what you're doing to me that's doing that.
Yeah.
And so what's weird is that, or not weird, but what's interesting is that I still don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still on this discovery
Yeah.
that, you know, where I'm trying to find my pleasure points,
Yeah.
trying to find things that work for me,
Yeah.
that whether I'm using my vibrator or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
like I can experience that full pleasure,
Yeah.
that full moment, that
Yeah.
full release
Yeah.
where I can be like a whole person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And it sounds wonderful. What I'm hearing is that with this particular partner, you were able to experience a fullness
Yeah.
of pleasure that you had not ever experienced up to that point.
Right.
And since you've experienced pleasure, but maybe not in
Not-
that
mm-mm.
way.
Right.
And so there's a part of you that's on this like self-discovery journey
Yeah.
to see how can I recreate that experience
Right.
or a new version of it for who you are now.
Yes.
And I have a couple questions for you.
Oh, yes.
So the first is, how did he respond when it happened?
He was blown a freaking way.
Yeah.
He was like, what?
Yes.
Are you like, oh my God, do you need some water? Like what?
Yeah.
Because what am I doing? And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he was just I think he was taken aback, but then I think he was doubting. Like he didn't believe
Yeah.
me that
Yeah.
I was saying, I don't know what this is. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And all I could gather was maybe I really like him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's not that I didn't like the other partners that I've had, but I was like, maybe I really, really like him.
Yeah.
I don't know what this was.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Did you feel acceptance from him in that moment? Did you feel shamed or judged or criticized?
I didn't feel that. I felt like he didn't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that is. I think he
Mm-hmm.
felt like, you are lying. You do this. And I was like, I don't do this.
Yeah.
I really don't do this.
Yeah.
I don't do this for a lot of reasons that you don't even know, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Main reason, because I'm a good Christian girl. And whatever is coming out of me is obviously the devil's juice.
Oh my gosh.
Where did this come from? How did this happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked that for two reasons. The first is when I think about kind of what was the special sauce that brought out the devil's juice.
Right, right.
What was it? I think about the ways that acceptance and somebody looking at what's right with you as opposed to what's wrong with you
Right.
frees us, I think, a lot of times to experience maximum pleasure. Like when we
Yes.
can be our full quirky sexual selves with someone and not feel judged or criticized.
Right.
And as you say, he was taken aback and he was curious and he was maybe doubtful, like, clearly this has happened before me.
Right.
I think about the difference between you're lying,
Right.
and you lying, you
Right.
lied. This is really?
Right.
And so both are, I don't believe,
Right.
but the feeling of the first one shuts me down. The feeling of the second one opens me up.
Yes.
And I want to explore more of this with you.
Exactly.
And so I think about there are lots of women I think who have the capacity to squirt in sex, but maybe not everyone actually experiences the right kind of touch, pleasure, sensation, right feeling state that opens that up.
Right.
And I think oftentimes it comes from like being really sexually uninhibited with someone. And so sometimes it's the partner that really kind of like blesses all of the inner freak to show up.
Right. Bless it. Right.
And when they do, it's like amazing what your body can experience.
Yeah.
Right. When you just have someone who provides an opening for that.
Right.
And maybe it's really explicit, like foreplay, like where we're talking about what's going to happen and what we're wanting from each other. That is like an invitation for me to bring my full self. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I noticed that about myself.
Yeah.
Where I need to. Anyway, I am the one that you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
That could have sex every day.
Yeah.
Multiple times a day if there was time.
Yeah.
I just am that way. I've
Yeah.
always been that way.
Yeah.
But I have learned now that I need to consistently engage in conversation. Not it doesn't have to be sex conversation or sexual, but it's some form of intimacy throughout the day. Right? So just a text, or you sent me a DoorDash of a coffee, or you know, hey baby, I'm just thinking about you, just so bomb, just God, I can't, you know, all those things.
Yeah.
Are, it's like you're priming me
Yeah.
to be just exactly what I want to be.
Yeah.
And then you just reap the benefits of that, honey.
Yeah.
You're reaping the benefits.
Yeah. It's like you think like Formula One racing, right? Like these cars are so well tuned, right? And it's like all the maintenance that goes in to keep this car like running at a level of perfection.
Perfection.
That when you get in and you put your foot on the gas, you know,
it's gone.
Yeah. You're hundreds of miles an hour in seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that the beauty of getting to understand what pleasure looks like for you is being able to articulate what you just articulated. I know that I'm a person who likes to have sex many times a day, you know, if I can. But I also know that this level of communication and interaction from someone at this frequency in this way is the thing that helps me to show up optimally in sexual interactions. Right? So that's the equivalent of, I know that when I put the lotion on this way, that I like this speed, this pressure, this tempo.
Yeah.
Right? And that knowledge translates very well to sex, because then when your partner's touching or rubbing, you can say, ooh, I like the pressure of his hand. Oh, I like his hand feels different from my hand.
Yes.
Right? Maybe the size or the roughness or the softness, whatever it may be.
Right.
And so then you can give feedback.
Yeah. And then having a partner that's open to hearing that.
Yeah, because you have to think responsible sons have their own performance wounds, and they see themselves as like, I am the seller of pleasure, right? I am the proprietor. You come get pleasure from me.
Yeah.
And therefore, if we have sex and you didn't feel like I took you literally to the moon and back, then now I feel my worth is diminished.
Yes.
Because he's taking on all the responsibility to provide a pleasurable experience.
Right.
Without even being fully honest about what he might need in that pleasurable experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it feels, you know, emasculating. It feels like I have less worth if I can't make you have an orgasm, right? Or if you are not wanting sex as much as I'm wanting it, or if you don't feel comfortable initiating it. But for responsible daughters raised in this context, many of them don't feel comfortable initiating sex, or feel comfortable and put themselves out there and then get shamed for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Shame is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's immobilizing.
Right. And that's why there's so many responsible daughters and sons that are living these completely like secret lives of sex behind the pulpit. Episode 4.
Right? Like, talk about it, please, somebody.
Talk about it, because what?
Yeah.
Because I can't be honest here.
Yeah, and it's like, why? I know why, but I hate that it has to, that sex feels like this secret taboo thing when all of the things that allow me to experience pleasure I was born with.
Yes.
So whether you believe I evolved from a bang or a cell or a cluster of cells or was created in the image of God, all of these things were things that I came with.
Yeah.
And if I came with these things, why is it that they should not be fully utilized until
Right.
like we don't say that about anything else, right? Don't use your brain until
Right.
don't use your
Right.
hands until like no.
No.
And I think about the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. What would be the spiritual benefit to not having sex before marriage? There's something really special about being in a committed relationship with someone to be able to create a sense of safety, right? That you're here for me and I'm here for you and we can explore this beautiful thing together. And also, it limits disease,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The likelihood of disease, it
Right.
limits that greatly, right?
Right.
And it means that since a natural consequence of having sex for many people is procreation, having
Right.
babies, that if children are produced from this union, that they will be in the context of a family to provide and support them.
Right.
I mean, there are lots of benefits to it.
Right.
And also, sexual development starts from like your earliest interactions. How pleasurable is it for a baby to nurse at a breast, right?
Right.
Or to drink from a bottle? The sucking reflex in an infant is pleasure driven.
Right.
It's not just sustenance. It feels good. I feel connected to my mother. There are chemicals being released in my brain that create
Right.
this pleasurable experience both for her and for me so that we both keep coming back to it
Right. Right.
for survival.
Yes.
And connection is a part of that survival, right? Not just food.
Right. I recall this episode of Bridgerton
Mm-hmm.
where that was in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my favorite couple.
Yes. Same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Everything else since has just
like,
been
what
like,
is this? I mean, it's fine, but okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
So when she came home, the daughter, after
Yeah.
her first weekend or whatever,
Yeah.
when they went on their honeymoon and she busted through the doors and she was like, I have to talk to you, Mom.
Yes.
And she was like, you sent me
Yeah.
out with this man
Mm-hmm.
with no information.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't teach me anything about
Yeah.
this. What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
You didn't share anything with me because
Yeah.
it was taboo. It's sacred. It's quiet.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. No,
Yeah.
no. I needed. April, also needed to know.
Yeah.
What do you do with this body?
Yeah.
And it's okay to discuss these things, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
please tell me, with your daughters, with your
Yeah.
sons,
Yeah.
early.
Yes.
Because it's the full use of your body.
Yes.
And I feel like people can take less advantage of you
Yeah.
when you know the information.
Yes.
I'm not saying go outside today, tomorrow, little, child,
Yeah.
and you be inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes with knowledge too, is learning
Yeah.
what's appropriate and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I started my career in health and human services in early childhood education.
All right.
And I remember, like, you could be changing a toddler's diaper, right? And let's say it's a little, boy, and he reaches down and he grabs his penis. The way that the teachers respond, no, that's bad, right? Or move the hand away.
Right.
Or the way that we create these alternate names for body parts.
Right.
Like, it's bad to say technical names for them. Like, there's shame embedded in parenting, and we are stifling healthy sexual development from a very young age. And so I agree with you 100%. Like, any solid curriculum around sexual abuse prevention for children starts off with empowering them to speak about their body.
Yeah.
And to be able to identify their body.
Right.
To be able to say that secrets are bad, right? We don't do secrets.
We don't do secrets. Yeah.
And no one can tell you, oh, this is our little secret, right? Because you know that.
Right.
Nobody can say that it's okay for me to touch this thing, just not that thing. But you don't know the technical names. So you don't know the different.
You don't know what they're talking about.
There's so many ways that children can be taken advantage of and are taken advantage of because of a lack of information, because of shame, right? Full circle.
Yeah.
And programming that our bodies and healthy developing sexuality is bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to rewrite that.
We do.
We have to rewrite that.
We do. I think from a medical standpoint, an emotional standpoint, and a spiritual standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Stop making it
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, it's I mean, because there's so, like you said in the beginning, there's so many things on this spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that like me. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I'm like, oh yes, okay, I can't wait to get home.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are like, I would like to touch less. Even talking about those things with your kids, like,
Mm-hmm.
so that they are not, and I don't mean kids, but definitely in these developmental stages
Mm-hmm.
where they know, you know, more about themselves or
I
how
mean,
to,
my 2 and 3-year-old boys know they have penises.
right.
And I can't tell you how many times I'm going to change a diaper or help someone, and I've got a 2 or 3-year-old boy making up a song about his penis. Like this,
Right.
my penis. Like it's like, and I don't shame it.
Right.
I don't shame it, and I
No.
say like your penis is yours for you.
Right.
Right. It's not a thing that you share with other people.
Right.
Like it's for
Right.
you.
It's for
Right.
you.
So we can talk about the appropriateness of like, please
Yes.
don't go out and be like ripping your pants off and singing my penis.
Right.
And also, don't be ashamed that you have
That you
one.
have one.
And don't feel like touching it is wrong.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Touching it is wrong. Looking at it is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I remember when I was going, I mean, I still work out a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was starting to work out more, my trainer was like, get dressed and undressed in front of the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
period. That's your assignment because you need to be able to see yourself. And I was like, girl, settle down. Now, I am, a sexual person
Yeah.
and stuff, but I never made it my own.
Yeah.
It was in my head always for, the love of your husband,
Right. The male gaze.
the
Yeah.
male gaze. Yeah. What it looks like for them. So I'm going to arch my back this way because I think it looks, and really I probably look crazy. I think it looks sexy because I'm trying to make sure that it looks pleasing to them.
Yeah.
That actually doesn't feel good to me.
And I think for most of us, the sexiest thing is like fully embodied confidence.
Right.
Right. It's not like, oh, them titties sag a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Right.
Because you can have the perkiest, sit up the mostest, fullest. And if you walking around like this.
Right.
That's not sexy.
That's not sexy.
It's not sexy.
Yeah.
And the reality is when you feel comfortable and confident in your body because you recognize it's for you first, you don't internalize when it's not for somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
I don't need to be for everyone. I need to be for me. And I'm not trying to be for everybody either. But when I believed that my body was for the male gaze, I internalized every male rejection.
Dang. Yeah.
And
I know.
mean, it's so harmful.
Yes.
To how you see yourself and what you allow yourself to require in a relationship when you believe that your value is held in another person's assessment of how good or not good you are. Right? You think about toxic work environments, right? Where it's like they hold in that review, that 90-day review over your head, right? Or that yearly review over your head. And I'm constantly performing to meet your standards so that I can keep this job, and I'm living in fear.
Yeah.
Because I can't do what I want to do the way I want to do it. I want to work remote, but you saying I got to come into the office, right? Like, I can't.
Right.
I want to do my 40-hour week job in 20 hours, but you say I have to be here 40, right? Like, everything is so transactional, and the power dynamic dictates that it's transactional in a way that disadvantages you. And the same thing happens for a lot of straight women, especially sexually.
Right.
Because you find yourself in a position where like your worth and worthiness and value is directly proportionate to how valuable the man in your life or the men in your life see you. Yeah. And that is so harmful.
It is.
Because you'll always be performing.
I know. And it's so draining.
It is.
It is so draining. And I think that that's why I was so comfortable being single for so long. Because I was like, honey, I just, this bonnet is giving peace and restoration to this hair. And I've heard from so many that they hate the bonnet.
Yes.
So because you're only here because you think that you want me to look like this and you want me to wear this lingerie and you want me to do all these things. Yeah. And I'm actually not doing that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
So it's just not enough for you all collectively, because I've
Mhm.
put you all in this box of only viewing me as a sex figure, sex
Yeah.
toy, a sex option. And then when you're done, you just leave.
Mhm.
So I had all these other layers to
Yeah.
that as
Yeah.
well. And I was like, I can just do me.
Yeah.
Trust me. I got an arsenal of toys that will
Yeah.
handle all the things that you can't, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of reclused in that way.
And I think for the woman who can say with her whole body that wearing the bonnet and using the toys and living the single life brings her joy and fulfillment, hallelujah. Please wear that bonnet with pride.
With pride.
Right?
Yeah.
Eat in the bed.
Oh my God. And no one understands me. My sister is like, why are you just, and I said, honey, this is my sanctuary. Yeah.
Do all of it.
All the things.
Do all of it. And also, because two things can be true. Some women are living that life and it's not what they chose. And they're not living it from a whole body yes perspective.
Right.
They are living it because they are so burnt out on the pressure and the exhaustion of performing to be seen as worthy enough in someone else's eyes.
Right.
That burnout has led to a level of apathy. I don't care about relationships and I don't want relationships because I've never fully felt seen, valued, or safe.
Yeah.
At the same time.
At the same time.
In a relationship.
I know.
And so now I'm choosing a life where I can just be without having that level of pressure.
Right.
And it's not what they want. They want to be seen, valued, and loved and cherished in the context of a relationship. They just haven't experienced it.
I know.
And so radical accountability, how much have you required it?
Yeah.
And how much have you bought into the script that you need to perform the worthiness?
Woo.
So
that's deep.
Hard truth.
It is a hard truth.
Yeah.
But it deserves acknowledgement and then change and growth.
Yes.
Because there's so many women that I talk to that are unfulfilled in their relationships or are claiming to be fulfilled in their singleness. But I can tell they're not.
Yeah.
And when they say the things like, you know, I don't need no man. I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested. I don't care about this. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
You know, I know differently. And I just always encourage women to, you know, try something new.
Yeah.
Try something new. I know it's easy to box out and close off and stuff, especially when it's been 15, 20 years. I had a woman tell me that she just the other day.
It's so hard.
She was like, I don't know that side of me.
Yes.
She's like, I haven't been touched in 20 years. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I just think I'm welled up. I'm dried up. My well is dried up. And I said, no, it's not. You're still young. You're still young and you're still viable. You still can and should.
I don't care if it's been 50 years.
Yeah.
It's like a garden. Come in with some fertile soil.
Ooh.
Come in with some water. Till it a little bit because it's a little dry and rocky, right?
Right.
The right amount of pressure, right?
The right amount of oil.
Fertile potting soil,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And plant some seeds of love.
Yeah.
Right? Plant some seeds of acceptance.
Right.
Which is very shame busting.
Yeah.
Plant some seeds of allowing that person to feel seen and valued.
Right.
And important to you.
Yeah.
And see what grows. It'll be like them Carlsbad flower fields.
Ooh.
Everyone who wants it is capable of it.
Yes.
And in the whole body yes framework, I say, if you don't have it in your life, ask, is it truly that I don't want it?
Right.
Or is it that I have not been able to achieve it and therefore I've devalued it because I have not had it?
Right.
The fox and the sour grapes, right? You keep trying to get the grapes and when you can't, autumn grapes is sour anyway, right? And so I think for many people, it is the burnout and the exhaustion and the pain, the grief and loss of longing for a thing for so
and not having
many years and not getting it.
Right.
And then you go to the reactionary, I'm going to cut it all off.
Yes, burn
But
it
what
up.
you don't realize is when you burn it up, you're burning too.
Oh my God.
Right? You're not just cutting that off. You're literally sacrificing a whole part of you.
A whole part of you.
And so you're not living a full life, right? When we talk about that full experience of joy, you'll never have that because you don't have the full spectrum of experience.
God.
Yeah.
This is why they pay her the big bucks. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I will say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is rich. Rich. And so true.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I just had this conversation 2 days ago with someone, and I don't have all of your knowledge and experience, but all I knew was it's not too late.
Yes.
So to our audience, to our viewers, to our Handle Her With Care family, it's not too late. Don't give up on yourself, on your whole self. That includes your sexual self.
Yes.
You know, if you didn't know that we are, you know, a part of all the beings, we are sexual beings too.
Yes.
And it's okay to explore that, and should be.
Yes.
I mean, at 40 years old, I'm 40.
Mm-hmm.
I now am comfortable. Like I'm on this camera. And I have a microphone.
Yeah.
And I've said sex. I even said squirt.
You did.
Okay.
You did.
And I was talking about me.
You was.
And that is huge, because the shame that I have felt in my life surrounding sexual experiences, encounters, you know, relationships, it has only brought shame. And only brought discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that, you know, I'm thankful. I'm excited for myself, because I know now not all of what I need in a sexual relationship. Because I'm still discovering.
Becoming.
And yes, I'm becoming.
Yes.
And as I meet him, and you know, who knows who he is long term. But as I meet him, I'll be able to construct my life the way that I'm worthy of receiving that.
Yes.
So give us 5 tips, if you have them, on how to deeper explore pleasurable experiences for us, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, I mean, my 5 tips would be 5 senses.
Okay.
Engage every one of your 5 senses and make note of the things that you find pleasurable, the things that you like, the things that excite you, the things that energize you, and make note of the things that don't. The things that do and the things that don't, scale them.
Scale them.
Scale them.
Meaning?
What's maximum pleasure?
Okay.
Right? On a 10-point scale, 10 being the most pleasure you can experience in an interaction.
Okay.
How much pleasure do you get from fast touch, right? Fast rubbing, let's say.
Okay.
How much pleasure do you get from slow touch, from high pressure touch, right? From pain. What types of pain feel pleasurable? What types of pain do not?
Right.
You know, when you hear words from people, if I say, "Oh, you look nice today," how pleasurable does that feel? Versus when I say, "I love your hair color. It is so beautiful." The variations of color in your
I love
locks.
That.
Oh
That's
my
pleasurable.
gosh. It's like a sunset.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes, girl.
So think about the way that feels in your body, because it's specific versus the general.
Right.
Because when you know these things about yourself, do you know what you can, when you're saying, you know what, I don't feel like I'm getting what I need in this relationship. I don't really feel like my needs are met. And then your partner says, well, you know, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that. Yeah, but it doesn't, I still don't feel right.
Right.
You there stumbling and stuck on stutter because you don't know what you actually do like and what feels pleasurable for you. And again, this is not to shame or bash any religion. Please believe what you believe, because I believe that belief systems and spirituality help us to be whole people.
Yes.
And also, don't buy into any doctrine that says that you should be ashamed of any part of your body or any part of yourself.
Right.
And I think we sometimes take the things of God and we apply our own contexts.
Yes.
And scripts to them in a way that I think dilutes the power and the impact of the message. And so I encourage people to explore, what does pleasure look like for you within your values context, right? And it doesn't have to look like individual or partnered sex if that's not it. But if that is it, think about the ways that you may be letting shame or old scripts block you from
Block
exploring
you.
this fully
Right.
in a way that allows you to have full, empowered dialogue about what you need and what works for you in every area of your life.
Yeah.
I can tell you what jobs feel pleasurable for me. I can tell you what clients I work with feel pleasurable for me and which ones don't.
I love that.
I have language for all of it, and that language and understanding empowers me to make the choices that are aligned so that I'm walking in my personal integrity. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I was able to have this conversation with you.
Me too.
And it resonates fully with me that we are on the right path. And I pray that you all as well gained those experiences as well.
Yeah.
Because that's the goal here, is to grow together. So again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I thoroughly appreciate
having me back.
Having you back. Yeah. And hopefully we can schedule and have you back again, because I feel like the platform, as we grow together, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your comments. You know, we can just continue the work, you know, to be better, to grow, and to do
these
more.
Are necessary conversations for our collective healing.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So always remember to handle yourself with care. All of you, all of yourself with care. Shawntres, how can we reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram at dr.shawntres or on my website at www.shawntresparks.com.
Okay, wonderful. And you can reach me at rockstar_life on Instagram. Also at handleherwithcare_podcast on Instagram, as well as my link that will take you to all of the places where you can hear this wonderful conversation, www.aprilmarieholland.com. And I'm so excited to have you in here with us, living this life with us. That means the world to me. So we will see you soon. Always remember, handle yourself with care and others. And I'm just thankful to have you. Blessings. Bye.